The only hummingbird which lives on the eastern side of North America is the ruby-throated hummingbird. On rare occasions, a west coast hummingbird will be seen in the east, but I don't believe anyone really understands exactly what happens. The male is the one with the ruby throat, and it is magnificent. Oddly, to see the beautiful red color, you must be looking at the front of the bird. Too far back along the side and the feathers look black. The female has a very light-colored breast and generally is not as colorful as the male, but she has to go to the nest, and the ruby throat would merely alert predators. The male has no duties regarding the nurturing of young in the nest. It appears that his work in regard to feeding is to find a good food source and protect it from other birds which are not of his family. Owners of backyard bird feeders get very frustrated when one male hummingbird takes over the ownership of their feeder and will not let other birds feed there. The birds do not understand that when the nectar gets low or old, we will simply fill the feeder back up. They're responding to ingrained survival tactics to ensure that their genes survive. I have noticed that females often will seem to drink and drink from the feeder as if they were starving or at least deprived of food for several days. There may be some of that, especially during migration, but I think it's far more likely that she is gathering food for the young nestlings. Hummingbirds eat small insects for their protein, while getting their carbs from nectar. These birds are amazing considering their size, and the most incredible thing about them is their migration. The ruby-throated hummingbird migrates way up into Canada in late spring and early summer. Then in the fall of the year, they head back south, migrating across the Gulf of Mexico to Central America. They fly non-stop all night long to cross hundreds of miles of open water. Some don't take the shortcut, but fly along the coast to an area where the crossing is not nearly as long. No one really knows if the young birds simply follow the older ones, or if the route is mapped in their brains from birth. The Cornell Lab of Ornithology has an excellent website called All About Birds. The following information comes from their website, but is not complete. I highly recommend you go there to learn about any bird species, and they have fantastic nest cams. The ruby-throated hummingbird beats its wings about 53 times a second. They have very short little legs and do not hop or walk like other birds. These tiny birds prefer to feed on orange or red flowers, but the nectar can be clear. They have good color vision and can see into the ultraviolet spectrum where humans can't see. The oldest known ruby-throated hummingbird was 9 years and 1 month old. They are not afraid of humans, but they're not tame. If you are too close to the feeder, they will keep an eye on you or your camera if they are comfortable enough to feed at all. This bird has the largest breeding range of any hummingbird in North America. They will build their nests in many different places, preferring the branches of a tree if available. The nest is the size of a large thimble, built directly on the branch rather than in a fork. It's made of thistle or dandelion down held together with strands of spider silk and sometimes pine resin. The female stamps the floor of the nest with her little feet, and weighing less than 1/4 of an ounce, it's hard to imagine that she could put much pressure on them. The nest takes 6 to 10 days to complete and measures about 2 inches across the outside and is camouflaged with bits of lichen and moss. If you decide to put up a hummingbird feeder and there are cats nearby, place the feeder up high or in areas where it's impossible for the cat to lay in wait under the feeder. The feeder probably should not be too close to a window they might fly into easily. And I hope you enjoyed this little video.